Hey there, my name is Leah, and I am a life and relationship transition coach and the founder of Life Remade. And I just got off the phone with a very dear person to me, and we were talking about narratives and the power of the way that we tell the story of our lives and the story of ourselves. And I wanted to talk a bit about that today and why it's important to rewrite our stories so that they align with the life that we actually want. Because I think a lot of times what we do is we tell our default story. We tell the story of our past. And it's really hard to move forward and to create different for ourselves and find a way and a path toward change if we're always telling the same story over and over. And let me give you an example. I started to notice probably when I was probably over the last like 5 or 6 years, really, the story that I was telling of myself, which was very much a story of disempowerment, a story of why does this always happen to me? Why am I too much emotionally? Why do my needs not get prioritized? Why do I keep finding myself in relationships that feel maybe one-sided? And I wasn't asking myself why. I just kept, I was asking myself why, but I kept saying, like, this is what keeps happening to me. This is my reality over and over and over again. And granted, it was my reality, but what ended up happening was it kept happening because there was a need for my brain on a subconscious level to perpetuate the cycle of the story that I was telling. That's how our brain works. We need to find evidence of our beliefs that we have. And when we're telling a story over and over again, we're saying, I believe this to be true. This is my belief. So our brain either recreates the story over and over by the way that we show up, or we find people to play out the roles that will give us evidence of our belief over and over. So when we find ourselves repeating to the world, to maybe even just to our own psyche, that something is really hard, or I've heard stories like all men are the same, or relationships are difficult, or life is struggle. These are all stories that I've heard over and over. And I'm not saying that those are just not true, because they're absolutely truth. I think we can tell any story we want, which is the beauty of it. And there be validity to those stories. But if we tell a different story, then our brain starts to seek out evidence and starts to make us show up differently, make our actions different to create evidence of our new story. Oftentimes, we tell the story that we were raised in. We tell the story that our society has placed upon us. So our stories are also impacted by our larger communities and the roles that we play in those communities. For instance, I am a woman of color. And so my story and the way that I tell the narrative of my life will also be impacted by those elements of it as well. If we see ourselves as someone who is meant to bring hope to the world, or is meant to make change in the world, then our story, the way we tell it, will reflect that. We will maybe end on a more hopeful note, or we'll look for the silver lining in our story, or we'll say, this is how I've grown. This is what I'm going to do to implement change based on now the knowledge that I have lived through, right? So all of these elements are constantly at play. And I guess I just wanted to bring that to your attention. so that you can do with that what you will. What's the default story that you constantly find yourself saying? Is it that people always abandon you? Is it that you just have a hard time connecting with others? Is it that you're just not good at financial situations, or budgeting? Is it that you're never chosen? I just wish I was chosen, but no one ever chooses me. What's your default story? And once you have found that, then you can look at what ways have I been perpetuating that story? Am I choosing people who are emotionally unavailable and I'm not being as boundaried around that as I should be? Am I choosing people who are constantly like moving away? Or am I choosing people who are telling me one thing but acting out another? Am I surrounding myself with individuals who are not supportive of this new story that I want to be telling? And how am I resisting the change? What kind of evidence now would I need to move forward towards a different story? What kind of choices would I need to make that would reflect those changes? These are all questions that I would encourage you to ask yourself as part of your journey to creating change in your own life. It's not a simple, switch that's going to happen all of a sudden, but it is the thing, the root that is at the heart of change, is the story that you tell around it. And even if you're not trying to change your life, even if you're just trying to get to know yourself more and get to know why you operate the way you do, look at the stories you tell and the way that you tell them. Maybe even record yourself telling your story and start to notice, where did I get excited during that story? Where did I get a little emotional? Where did I shut down? Who's the villain in my story? Is it me? Is it someone else? Is it everyone else? All important things to notice. So I hope this provided you some clarity, or at least some seeds of inspiration to nurture. And I'd love to hear from you what you thought. Tell me your story. All right, take care.